The Great Hall of the Galactic Council had never been this silent before. Normally, it was a place of constant sound, voices from 100 different species talking at once. Translators buzzing, the hum of machinery working to keep the air. The lights and the massive chamber stable. Today, that sound was gone. The only thing that could be heard was the soft echo of footsteps and the faint hiss of air vents. The delegates sat in their seats, many of them whispering quietly too. Their neighbors. A message had been sent to every member of the council just 2 days ago. It was short, with no explanation. Urgent meeting. Attendance required. Humanity's truth will be revealed. The words had spread quickly through every star system, and by the next day, rumors had grown like wild vines. Some believed humanity had discovered a new weapon. Others thought Earth was in trouble and was finally asking for help. But the most common belief was that the humans were bluffing, that their strength had been exaggerated. And the truth would finally be shown at the far end of the hall. The high seats of the senior council members loomed above the rest. They were tall, proud figures, some with skin like shining crystal, others with moving patterns across their bodies that shifted with their emotions. They watched the crowd with cold, unreadable eyes. Most of them had always seen humans as strange, newcomers, useful in certain situations, but far from the strongest race in the galaxy. In fact, there had been whispers for years that Earth had gotten its seat in the council by luck, not power. Today, those whispers were about to be tested. The reason for the meeting was still a mystery, but the council leaders had promised that, by the end, no one would question humanity's place. Again, the main doors to the hall opened with a slow metallic groan, and every head turned. A single human walked in, his boots clicking softly against the polished floor. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with sharp eyes that scanned the room as if memorizing every face. His name was Captain Elias Ward, a decorated officer in Earth's Defense Command. He wore no armor, no flashy medals, just a simple dark uniform. In his right hand, he carried a small black case, no larger than a lunchbox. There were no guards with him, no assistants, nothing but that case and the calm way he moved. Many delegates frowned. This was supposed to be humanity's great reveal, yet their representative looked almost casual. Some aliens even chuckled quietly, convinced they had been right all along. If this was humanity's idea of intimidation, it was pathetic. Elias reached the center of the hall and stood before the senior council seats. The massive chamber was so quiet that even the sound of him setting the case on the table echoed through the air. He looked at the faces around him, some curious, some angry, others openly mocking him. He did not speak right away. Instead, he let the silence stretch, as if waiting for the weight of it to press on every mind in the room. Finally, one of the council leaders, a towering being made of shifting silver shapes, leaned forward and spoke in a voice like grinding metal. "Captain Ward, you asked for this meeting. You claimed you would reveal the truth of your species. We are here. Speak." Ilias's expression did not change. His voice was calm, steady, almost too quiet for a room this large, yet somehow every word carried clearly. "You asked for the truth. I will give it to you. But I warn you now, you will not like it." The words seemed to ripple through the delegates like a wave, stirring unease even in those who thought themselves above fear. A short, insect-like alien from the back clicked its mandibles together in irritation. "This is a council chamber. Human. We do not have patience for riddles. Speak plainly or sit down." Ilias's eyes moved toward the alien for only a moment, and something in his gaze made the creature stop clicking and sink back into its seat. Somewhere to his left, a council member stood and raised his voice. He was from a reptilian race, tall and narrow with pale green scales. "For years, humanity has acted as if it belongs among the great powers of the galaxy," he said, his forked tongue flicking between words. "Yet you have shown us nothing. No great fleets, no vast armies. You win your battles, yes, but always against weaker enemies, always in ways that seem convenient. Many of us believe your strength is a lie, and today that lie will end." Several delegates nodded in agreement, their eyes fixed on Elias, like hunters waiting for prey to stumble. Elias's calm did not break. "You think we are weak because we have allowed you to think it," he said softly. You think we win by luck, because we have let you see only what we wanted you to see. You believe we have no great fleets because we have kept them hidden, and now you want proof. Fine. He rested one hand on the black case. But understand, this, once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it. And once you know what we are capable of, your galaxy will never be the same. For a moment, the hall seemed to hold its breath. Even the usual background hum of machinery felt distant. Delegates shifted uneasily in their seats. Some were suddenly aware of how far away the exits were, how icily the doors could be sealed. Elias looked around one final time, then placed both hands on the case and clicked it open. A faint hiss of air escaped, and something inside began to glow a soft blue. The light reflected in the eyes of the delegates, casting strange shadows. On their faces, no one spoke. No one dared. Whatever was in that case was about to change everything they thought they knew about humanity. The soft blue glow from the open case spread across the council hall, casting long shadows on the walls and making the air feel colder. Delegates leaned forward in their seats, eyes narrowing, antennae twitching, frills flaring. Inside the case sat a small cube, smooth and dark, with thin glowing lines running across its surface like veins of light. It was no bigger than a human's fist, but it gave off a quiet hum that seemed to sink into the bones of everyone in the room. Several delegates scoffed openly. A cube? That was the big reveal? A large four-armed alien from the merchant clans laughed, a deep rumbling sound. You called an emergency meeting for this toy? He mocked. Is this your mighty human weapon? A glowing rock? Others joined in the laughter, but it was short-lived. Elias didn't move, didn't blink, didn't look offended. He simply said, "This is only a copy, a fraction of what we keep hidden. But even a fraction is enough to make you understand." Before anyone could reply, the cube pulsed once, and the hall's security lights dimmed instantly. The energy fields that kept the chamber stable flickered. Every translator device in the room went silent. Then, without any of the council's systems being touched, a massive holographic projection rose from the cube, covering the entire ceiling. It showed a starfield, vast, cold, and full of motion. Ships appeared in the image, alien designs. None of the council had seen before, massive fleets with weapons bristling on every surface. A voice, not human, spoke in an unknown language, and then the fleet opened fire. The next instant, the image shifted, showing human ships responding. It didn't look like the smaller, outdated craft the council knew humans to have. These were sleek, black, and deadly, their movements sharp and impossibly fast. Beams of energy and bursts of strange, curved light tore through enemy ships as if their shields didn't exist. The battle in the hologram lasted less than 3 minutes. At the end, the alien fleet was gone, not damaged, not retreating, gone, reduced to burning debris. Gasps filled the hall. One crystalline delegate muttered, "Impossible. No fleet could destroy that many ships so quickly." Ilias's voice cut through the murmurs. "These records are from an event we called the Orion Incursion. It happened before Earth ever joined your council, and we fought them alone. We didn't ask for help. We didn't need help." It's an older council member, his body a mass of shifting. Green mist rose slowly from his seat. "If this is real," he said in a cold tone, "why was it not reported? Why did you hide this from us?" Elias met his gaze without hesitation. "Because you weren't ready to know. Because if you saw what we could do, some of you would try to use us. Others would try to destroy us. Both would fail. But it was easier and safer to let you believe we were only strong enough to defend ourselves." The hologram shifted again, showing another battle. This time the enemy ships were even. Stranger, organic-looking, alive, almost insect-like. They swarmed around human vessels like a living storm. For a moment, it seemed the human ships would be overwhelmed, but then a single pulse of energy spread from the lead ship, and every enemy vessel froze mid-flight. Systems died. Hulls cracked. The entire swarm collapsed into silence. Delegates shifted uncomfortably. None of their species had weapons like that. None had even seen technology that could do it. A reptilian general slammed a clawed hand on his desk. "These could be fabrications," he snarled. "Tricks to frighten us." Elias didn't argue, simply turned to the cube, tapped it once. And the Council's central system, a network thought to be untouchable, lit up with the same battle files, verified by their own security programs. No hacks, no altered data. Every recording, every timestamp was authentic. The room fell into a tense silence. Kellius's gaze moved slowly across the hall. "You wanted proof? You have it, I'd understand." These were defensive actions, nothing more. "We've never shown our real attack protocols. If we had, there wouldn't be enough left of our enemies to even recover debris." The weight of his words settled over the room like a storm cloud. For the first time in the Council's history, no one interrupted. Even those who hated humanity most could not find their voices. The cube continued to hum softly, the blue glow unchanging, but the atmosphere in the hall had shifted entirely. What had been doubt was now something much heavier: fear. The Council chamber doors sealed with a heavy metallic thud, locking everyone inside. A faint red light blinked above the main entrance, the signal that the meeting was now in high security mode. No one would leave until the discussion was over, no matter how much they wanted to. Some delegates shifted nervously in their seats, their eyes darting between the glowing cube and the calm human standing beside it. Elias Ward seemed completely at ease, as if the tension in the room belonged to someone else. Without a word, he pressed his hand to the side of the cube. The holograms changed. This time, the projection wasn't a single battle. It was a series of files, each marked with bold red letters. Classified Earth Defense Command. As the files played, the chamber filled with the cold, unblinking light of recorded history. One after another, moments appeared that none of the Council had ever been told about. A moon-sized ship from a distant galaxy burning up in the atmosphere of a human colony world. An alien war machine, large enough to blot out the sun, reduced to molten slag in less than an hour. Entire fleets far larger than anything the Council had ever deployed, gone without a trace. And in every file, there was the same note. At the end, assistance from Council forces, not requested. A deep voice rumbled from the far side of the chamber. It came from General Dravalium, a warrior of a species known for never showing fear. "How did you survive this?" he asked, leaning forward, his scaled hands gripping the edge of his desk. Elias glanced at him, then answered simply, "Preparation." In restraint, the words seemed to hang in the air, confusing some and frightening others. A silver-skinned diplomat asked what he meant, and Elias stepped closer to the hologram.
We could have wiped those threats out faster.
With far fewer casualties on our side, but we didn't. We held back. We always hold back. The files kept coming. One labeled Project Retribution caught the attention of everyone in the hall. The projection showed a vast enemy fleet, 200 heavily armed. Warships moving toward Earth's outer colonies. Human ships intercepted them. The Council members leaned forward, expecting another battle like the ones before. But what they saw was far stranger. There were no energy beams, no missile volleys. Instead, a signal was sent. Instantly, every enemy vessel went dark. Their engines died, their weapons fell silent, their lights faded. Within 4 minutes, the fleet was drifting in space, powerless. Moments later, controlled detonations tore them apart from the inside, leaving nothing but scattered wreckage.
Ow.
No human ships were lost. The file ended with a single sentence. Operation successful. No survivors. The silence in the room was heavy now, thicker than before. Some delegates avoided looking at Elias altogether. Others stared openly, but with a new expression, not anger, but something colder. Fear mixed with respect. Elias let the silence sit for a while before speaking again. "You wanted to know why we keep secrets, why we let you underestimate us. The answer is simple. Some of you would try to turn our strength into your weapon. Some of you would see us as a threat and try to destroy us before we could act. Avoid both outcomes by keeping you in the dark." An insectoid diplomat clicked his mandibles in frustration. "If your power is so great, why join the Council at all?" Elias met the question without hesitation, because peace lasts longer. When people believe they have the upper hand, We wanted stability. We wanted trade. We wanted to grow without constant wars. But don't mistake that for weakness. If Earth is threatened, we will respond in ways you cannot predict and cannot stop. The last file faded from the hologram, but its images burned in the minds of everyone watching. No one spoke and no one moved. It was as if the entire chamber had turned to stone. The only sound was the soft hum of the cube, steady and patient, like it knew there was still more to show and more to fear. Before the council members could begin their arguments, a sharp alarm cut through the silence, high and urgent. The chamber's walls flashed with warning lights, and a mechanical voice from the council's security network spoke in a flat, emotionless tone. Unidentified fleet detected. Outer border. Its estimated size. The voice paused, recalculating. Size exceeds combined council defense forces. Estimated arrival? 6 hours. Gasps and panicked whispers filled the hall. Delegates leaned over their desks, demanding details. The holographic displays along the chamber walls lit up with sensor data. A dark wave of ships, massive in number, moving with terrifying speed. Their design didn't match any known council species. The senior council leaders stood, their forms tense. All fleets must be mobilized at once, one of them ordered, her crystalline voice sharp. Every member world will contribute ships. This is a full emergency. Around the chamber, fear was turning into chaos as delegates shouted over each other, trying to plan a defense. In the middle of it all, Elias Ward remained completely still. He didn't look at the screens. He didn't move toward the exits. He simply watched the panic grow. Finally, one of the reptilian generals turned toward him. Human, this is no time to stand still. What does your world have to add to our defense? Ilias's answer was quiet, but it cut through the noise. Like a blade. We've met them before. The words froze the air. Conversation stopped. Dozens of eyes turned toward him. Elias continued, his voice calm, almost casual. They didn't come for us then, and they're not coming for us now. They're coming for you. Confusion spread quickly. Explain yourself, demanded A. Tall, four-eyed diplomat whose species was known for its intelligence networks. Elias looked at the approaching fleet on the display. They tried to take Earth once. They failed. Badly. They never came back. They learned that we aren't worth the losses. But they've never fought the council. They think you'll be easier. That was when the shouting began again. Some delegates called for immediate negotiations with the unknown fleet.
How?
Others demanded that humanity reveal the weapons it had shown in the holograms. A smaller group began whispering that maybe the humans had brought this threat themselves too. Force the council into giving them more power. The suspicion was thick enough to taste. Elias raised a hand, and the noise died. You want to survive this? Give me full command over all allied fleets. We'll stop them before they reach your borders. The chamber exploded with protests. Outrageous, shouted one elder. Can't place every fleet in the hands of one species, cried another. Elias waited for the noise to fade, his expression never changing. Then don't, he said. When they reach your core worlds, remember that you had a chance. On the wall displays, the fleet's approach time, updated 6 hours, had become 4. The unknown ships were accelerating. A deep unease spread through the hall. Even those who hated the idea of human command couldn't ignore the fact that the council's forces had never faced anything this large. Delegates began to argue again, but this time there was a sharp edge of desperation in their voices. Time was running out, and everyone knew it. The senior council leaders retreated into a private discussion, their words hidden from the chamber. When they emerged minutes later, their expressions were grim. Captain Ward, the leader of the council, said, her crystalline body casting sharp reflections of the warning lights, you will have temporary control over all fleets for the duration of this threat. When it is over, your authority will end. Elias nodded once, without a smile, without thanks. Then I suggest you watch closely, he said. You're about to see what holding back looks like. The order spread across the galaxy in seconds. Every allied ship in council space received new command codes, all routed to a single control center, Earth's Defense Command. In the chamber, some delegates still muttered their doubts, but the fear in their voices betrayed them. On the walls, the holographic displays shifted to show fleet movements. Thousands of council ships began changing course, moving to intercept the incoming armada. But something strange happened. From deep, uncharted regions of space, where no council worlds existed, other ships appeared. They didn't match any known registry. They were human, but not the human ships the council knew. These vessels were larger, sleeker, with matte black hulls that seemed to swallow the light around them. They moved in perfect silence, slipping through hidden warp corridors. As if the roots had been waiting for this exact moment, the delegates stared at the display in stunned disbelief. How long have these fleets existed? Whispered a voice from the back. Elias didn't look away from the screens as he answered. Long enough. As the enemy fleet closed in, the human ships began to form precise formations that looked almost too perfect, like a machine's design brought to life. The council ships fell into position alongside them. But it was clear who was in control. The humans' movements dictated every formation, every firing line, every defense angle. Orders came fast and efficient, no wasted words. On the council side of the hologram, the massive unknown fleet loomed closer. A dark cloud bristling with weapons, its sheer size enough to blot out entire planets. Engage, Elias said. The battle began with no warning salvo, no traditional exchange of fire. The first human action was strange. Some of their ships emitted brief flashes of curved light that bent unnaturally before striking enemy vessels. The effect was instant. Entire squadrons of enemy ships lost shield integrity and engine control before they could fire a single shot. Then came the real weapons. Blades of light so thin, they looked like cracks in space itself sliced through the enemy lines, cutting ships apart without an explosion, just sudden. Clean destruction. The council ships fired too, but the enemies. Countermeasures seemed prepared for their weapons. Only the humans' strange technology was tearing through them. On the wall displays, the council delegates watched in complete silence as the vast enemy fleet began to fold in on itself. Ship after ship going dark. The enemy tried to regroup, sending their largest warships forward. Massive vessels, the size of cities. The humans responded with something the council had never seen. A weapon that didn't look like a weapon at all. A wave of shimmering distortion spread across space, and when it touched the enemy ships, their hulls simply broke, apart as if gravity itself had betrayed them. In under 10 minutes, the once unstoppable fleet was nothing but drifting wreckage. No cheers filled the chamber, no applause. The delegates just stared, wide-eyed, at the empty space where their greatest threat had been. Elias turned away from the display and looked at the council seats. And that, he said in a voice that was almost quiet, was us holding back. When the last fragment of enemy wreckage drifted into silence, the council chamber was frozen in stillness. The warning lights had faded, the alarms were silent, yet no one moved. The vast holographic displays showed nothing now but the cold emptiness of space where the invaders had been. No one could quite believe it was over so quickly. Few delegates sat stiff in their seats, their hands gripping the edges as if afraid the images might return. Others avoided looking at Elias Ward altogether, as though eye contact might draw some unseen danger toward them. Elias stood exactly where he had been at the start of the battle, his posture calm, his uniform unruffled, as though he had simply been observing a minor exercise. Slowly, the senior council leader rose from her seat. Her crystalline body glimmered faintly under the soft lights. "Captain Ward," she began, her voice steady but quieter than usual, "on behalf of the council, don't." Elias interrupted, his tone even but carrying the weight of command. "You're alive because it suited us, not because we were asked nicely, not because of an agreement. You lived because we decided it was worth our time." The words hit the chamber like a shockwave. Few delegates shifted uncomfortably. Others stared with visible anger, but none dared to challenge him. The black case still sat on the table, closed now. Elias reached down and picked it up, the cube sealed inside. The delegates watched it leave the table as though it were a living thing. "Where will you take that?" one alien asked, his voice almost trembling. Ilias's eyes flicked toward him. Somewhere you'll never find it. And I'd advise you not to try. The official record keepers were already writing their statements, victory achieved through joint fleet effort. Council coordination successful, but the truth was in every mind that had seen the battle. The Council had contributed almost nothing. It had been Earth and Earth alone that had stopped the invaders. As Elias turned to leave, he paused at the chamber doors and looked back at the highest seats. We hide our power to keep peace, he said quietly, but his voice carried too. Every corner. But remember this, if you force our hand again, we will not hold back a second time. The door slid shut behind him with a final hiss, leaving the chamber filled with an uneasy silence. For the first time in its history, the Council understood that humanity's restraint was not weakness. It was a warning.